So I recently shot a spec ad for these headphones. Actually, I just got them and I need some stuff to shoot. So I decided to shoot a spec ad for the headphones. And the main reason was it's a portfolio piece. It's also good practice just to shoot because I produced everything myself. Basically, I wrote it and shot it all myself, and then just had, you know, people I know to help me like be in it and also just help me around set. Also getting a little bit of content out of it. Like I did use a lot of the behind the scenes for the video about the tripod that I did not that long ago. And also, you know, this is a video, and I'll see if I can make a few other short pieces of content out of the behind the scenes because I really do like the whole behind the scenes content stuff. But I'm gonna show you it now so you can see the full ad, and then I'll talk about what I think. So here's that.
I'd rather be a dreamer, I'd rather be free, I'd rather be a leader, I'd rather be a queen, I'd rather be a singer in a trashy cover band. I'd rather be a closer, I'd rather be clean, I'd rather be a poser in a magazine, I'd rather be pretty much anything else than your machine.
Overall, after I cut it originally and I just sort of didn't know where to go from there, I wasn't a big fan of it. But after doing a little bit more editing this weekend and with a little bit of help with the editing, just had some other people watch it and give me some ideas, it did turn out better than I expected. So I think it's okay. Definitely not the best of what I could do, but it's okay, I think. But what I think didn't really work overall in the shots, and some of the things that I learned, I'll talk about what I learned in a bit, but what just didn't work very well is the gym that we shot in for one of the shoots. The lighting was awful. It was all the lights were different temperatures and brightnesses, and they were all a little bit yellow. None of them were daylight, but then it was like a bright day outside, so we got all that daylight in, but it wasn't very bright inside, so it was just a whole mess. The only light I brought was my Aperture MT Pro, which is not really bright enough to make much of a difference compared to the sun. And because of all those almost tungsten lights, I didn't actually adjust my white balance, so the lighting was just there, and I'm kind of stuck with it. That's why some of the shots are like very orange, because fixing that in post just did not work very well. I also did underexpose a lot of the shots because I'm shooting an S-Log3 on the FX30, and I basically exposed to not have clipped highlights. So like the sky or just the outside where the sun wasn't clipped, but that means that the foreground or the subject wasn't bright enough, which means that it's gonna be noisy when I try and bring it up, and the colors just weren't great. So some of the shots, especially if you can see outside in the background, it just didn't look very good. It was too dark and just kind of noisy. Basically any of those shots that had like a high dynamic range. Now the dynamic range on the FX30 is pretty good, but it's not the best. It's not even as good as the A7 IV that I'm shooting on now. And the final thing that I think didn't go as planned was just the story that I wrote out didn't end up happening. Like that's not what we ended up actually shooting, and then it's definitely not how it ended up in the edit. So not a bad thing necessarily, but it just didn't work out the way I planned. Now onto the good things. I did really enjoy the whole shooting part of it. I knew that though. I've always enjoyed the whole shooting part of it much more than editing or anything else. So I enjoy shooting, but we knew that already. But also like writing and directing, I knew it wasn't my forte, and it still isn't, but I had to do it anyway because like who else was gonna write and direct this? So I kind of had to. So hopefully in the future I can maybe find people to do that sort of stuff when I can focus on shooting. But for now, I had to do everything. Okay, and then really quickly onto the things that I learned. If you have high dynamic range scenes where there's a bright background and you're inside and it's not very dark, bring more lights. I could have brought my MRN 100D. It might not have been bright enough, but it would have made a difference. But the main reason I didn't is I didn't want to go, like, you know, bring a whole light stand and a light into the gym and then just take up more space than needed. Now it wasn't busy, so I probably could have got away with it, but I also wanted to stay kind of low key. Like I did ask permission, but I didn't want to be like, here's this whole production. It's more just like, I've just got a camera and a couple people with me rather than a whole thing. Especially with those high dynamic range scenes, add more lights. And then you can always bring it down in post, but bringing it up just does not work nearly as effectively. With S-Log3 at least, and on these Sony cameras. So other cameras may be a bit different, but Sony cameras, you don't want to crush your shadows and then try and bring it up in post, it will not work. And what I probably should have done is just allowed the highlights to clip a little bit to save some of those shadows, because they're sort of more important because that's the actual subject. And I also learned that sometimes you just need to hold shots a little bit longer. Like I shot most of it handheld and I did shoot on a tripod for some of it. And some of the shots I just needed to just hold a little bit longer, whether it's the movement or just holding it. I changed too quickly between like different angles or different shots of the same action. So I just need to hold it a little bit longer, just so you have a bit more flexibility when you're editing. You can take, you know, up to a few seconds of that shot, or, you know, just take half a second or 1 second of the shot if you need. Especially because too, a lot of the handheld shots didn't look as good as I thought they did when I shot them. Because they were a bit there was more movement than I expected, or the movement wasn't as nice. Whereas when I was shooting them, it felt pretty good. So just slow down and shoot all the shots just a little bit longer than you need. And that's pretty much it. Well, tell me what you think about it, as like, this is my first like proper spec ad sort of thing. So let me know what you think. Any feedback is welcomed. Shooting is fun though. So here's just a few clips from the behind the scenes that were fun. I'll see you next time. Do all the other things. Okay, bye. How close is that on me? No, don't go. Thank you, Jess. And back and up. And then swap with me. Yeah, this is brighter, but it's like rippled. You're recording this, aren't you? Yeah, cool. Good. Did it just look goofy? Just like... Let's see if I can carry this. Ha! Okay. I actually can't see it. I'm surprised I kept up. I know you weren't going that fast, but like, it was like, we stayed at the same speed the whole time. I was surprised how well that worked.
Mission failed. We'll get them next time.
I can't do both. Where is my gear? Way at the front, you can... Yeah. Yeah. Oh, okay. Where is it? Oh my God. Where is it?
You're pulling it down through that.
That is... Cool. We'll call it that.